And in a way, it's true,
No, it's not.
because of all the Tut exhibits that toured all over the world. But the treasures of Tutankhamun is one of the most popular topics I've ever taught. My students never lost the wonder of it, and I never lost the wonder of it either. And maybe, because you're here in this room, maybe you'll still feel the wonder of it too. Look, I know you already know a lot about Tut, but I hope perhaps you'll learn a tidbit or two today. And I hope that as I take you through the experience that Howard Carter had in discovering his tomb, that you'll see why everything about this subject endures. One of the first questions I want to answer is, how did this pharaoh, who was unimportant in his lifetime, become so famous? The answer begins with the Europeans, first the French, and soon afterward the British. Let me set the stage for you. The study of ancient Egypt, what became known as Egyptology, it developed through the work of early European archaeologists in the 1800s in the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars. The work of these early Egyptologists inspired explorers to visit Egypt. Some were attracted not only by the historical interest, but by the possibility of finding valuable antiquities. Some early Egyptologists were trained in archaeology, and they conducted serious scientific studies. But many were funded by wealthy individuals and not by scientific organizations or governments. And it was a wealthy individual who funded Howard Carter's excavations. But before I talk about his benefactor, I want to give you some background on Carter himself. He was born in London in 1874. He had no formal education in archaeology, but his father was a painter and an illustrator, and he nurtured Carter's artistic skills. And it's his drawing skills that got him a job in Egypt when he was 17 years old. Carter made copies of ancient Egyptian tomb paintings, and this experience fueled his passion for archaeology. Carter spent the next six years copying ancient Egyptian scenes from excavated tombs. And what you're looking at here is one of his watercolors. In 1899, Carter became what's known as the Inspector of Monuments for Egyptian Antiquities Service. That's a mouthful. He worked in the Valley of the Kings to safely remove some royal mummies. But in 1905, he got into trouble for throwing out some drunken tourists from a tomb. He was right to throw them out, but the tourists made a stink about it, and Carter was fired. Afterwards, it was very hard for him financially, but he still had ambition. His goal was to lead his own archaeological dig in the Valley of the Kings. In 1907, Carter met the wealthy individual he needed to supply the money for his excavations. Lord Carnarvon was that person. And he was not only had great wealth, but he also shared Carter's vision that a great discovery could still be made in the Valley of the Kings. Lord Carnarvon himself had taken up archaeology as a hobby after his doctor advised him to spend winters in Egypt where the climate was warm and dry, and this would improve his health.